Now, the increase in global food insecurity triggered by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Ukrainian conflict is railing the economy of many countries in the Asian continent. Now, Southeast Asian nations are among the hardest hit as vulnerable families face malnutrition and amid acute prevailing conditions. Now, some of the affected countries are initiating measures to address this situation, but not everyone is convinced. Here's more details of that in this report.
Visit a Southeast Asian market, and it's hard to imagine that food security could be a problem. But the way the pandemic fractured supply chains and the Ukraine crisis is driving up food prices tells a different story.
For a country like the Philippines, on average, they spend more than 30%, close to 40% of their income on food. So they are extremely vulnerable to price shocks.
It's the same for lower income families, even in the more developed countries such as Malaysia. In many parts of ASEAN, there are high levels of malnutrition and stunted growth in kids. And it's likely to worsen in the face of soaring food prices.
It's very prevalent in the lower income group because of the quality of food that they consume. You consume a lot of starch, which is cheap. It's also subsidized. It's available, it's cheap, it's filling, but it's not very nutritious.
Smallholders produce much of Southeast Asia's agricultural output, which tends to be inefficient. There's also a lack of crop diversity.
Both the impacts of the pandemic and the current rise in food prices, these are very big wake-up calls in the region. They clearly show a need to diversify agriculture so that you have more varieties of food available. Not only does this make economic sense, but at the same time, we also have a diverse diet, which is what is required for nutrition.
Some ASEAN countries have recently resorted to food protectionism, with Indonesia temporarily banning the export of palm oil and Malaysia chickens and chicken products. It's the opposite of what analysts say the region should be doing.
Food security situation in our neighboring countries will definitely have an impact on us. So it is of our best interest to not only look at food security from our own perspective, but also from a regional perspective.
In other words, the ASEAN bloc thinking and acting more like the community it aspires to be better prepared for any future food security shocks.